Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for watching. So today's video I have something a little bit more glam but with a pop of colour. You guys know that I love a pop of colour on the lower lash line. And I also have the Morphe Sweet Oasis palette. So I wanted to do a tutorial using this palette, and as you can see it has such a nice range of bright colours. Bright colours for summer. So let me know if you want to see more looks with this, but I decided to do something pretty wearable and easy to achieve, and it was also inspired by the Iluvsarahii. Obviously she was the face of this collection, and there was a tutorial that I kind of got inspiration from the Morphe YouTube channel, so I'll link that down below in case you were wondering what the inspiration was. But I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something. So if you do want to see how I got this look right here, then just keep on watching. So for foundation today I'm actually using something different. So as you all know, I always use my Too Faced Born This Way, and obviously I still love that, but I thought I would change it up and use the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk foundation. I used to love this. I actually wore it on my wedding mixed with Studio Fix Fluid, and it's just a really nice summer foundation because it gives you such a natural finish whilst still being really buildable. So you can build it up to like a decent medium coverage, I think, but you can sheer it out to a super natural coverage for the summer, and it just gives your skin such a nice luminous, as the name would suggest. It just gives it such a nice glow. And yeah, I would recommend it for anyone, to be honest. I think if you're a little bit more oily, then you can just use a bit more powder, but it still works really well for dry skin as well. But as I said, the foundation is super buildable, so I find you can do a couple layers without it looking too cakey or too heavy, and especially with a damp sponge it does sheer it out a little bit more. But that is kind of like 2 layers, and it's just giving my skin a decent amount of coverage. And then any areas you can always go in with concealer if you prefer. Then for concealer I'm going to go in with my Tarte Shape Tape. I haven't used this actually under my eyes in a while, but I'm thinking I want something a little bit more highlighted, and this is lighter than my skin, so it's going to highlight, and also it's got a really nice amount of coverage. It's one of my favourite concealers because a little bit goes such a long way. So I'm mainly going to pop this right on the inner corner where I normally put concealer, and then also on the highest point of the cheekbone, because that will bring that area forward and kind of highlight and make it stand out a little bit here. Then I'm going to use my same damp sponge as before, but I forgot how much I love that concealer. Like, it just makes your under eye look so smooth without being like too matte or too cakey. For my powder today I'm going to use the Kat Von D blotting powder. So I actually thought this had coverage, but obviously as it suggests it's blotting powder, and I don't think it has too much coverage in it, so I did think it was going to be too light for me, but I'm going to try it out today and see what I think. I do have the Kat Von D Good Apple foundation. Just get rid of that little crease. So I'm just going to pop that underneath my eyes just to set it in place, and down the centre of my face, just anywhere where I typically get oily. Brush is really itchy. So guys, I do have the Kat Von D Good Apple, is it called Good Apple? The Good Apple foundation, and I put on my YouTube a little poll on whether you wanted to see like a review or kind of like a wear test, or if you would just prefer me to kind of use it in my YouTube videos. But let me know. I've kind of been like playing around with ways to wear it, because the first time I wore it I put on way too much and it went really cakey, but it seems to be quite nice, like sheared out, but the only thing is it doesn't last very well on me. It just went really patchy. So I would definitely be interested in doing a kind of wear test, so let me know if you want to see that. But yeah, I'm kind of like, I don't really like doing like first impressions, especially with foundations, because if I was to do a first impression the first time I would have used way too much, and I feel like you never get a proper gist of what it's like until you try it a few times. So yeah, let me know So I forgot, I am going to use my cream contour, which is the Light Tantour by Huda Beauty. But because I didn't really set this area, it doesn't matter too much. I'm just going to kind of get it on the skin first. And then use the same sponge as before and just soften it. Then as that contour is a little bit cooler, I'm also going to use the NYX Born to Glow concealer. So this is in the shade Natural. And I'm just going to kind of blend that on top, and then also blend that round the hairline and a little bit on my nose as well. And it's always best to bounce it in, because otherwise you kind of end up moving the coverage. I will say that Kat Von D powder has actually made my under eye nice and smooth. I am impressed. Okay, so I'm going to go do my eyebrows off camera, and then we'll come back and do the eyes. So for my eyeshadow base, well, I'm going to actually use a concealer. So this is the Tarte Shape Tape, the same one that I used underneath my eyes. And I'm going to pop a little bit on my eyelid just to create a nice blank canvas. Then I'm just going to set that in place with my translucent powder. Okay guys, I'm so excited. I mean, you already know what this video is about because of the intro and the title, but this is the palette that we're going to be using. Oh, how nice is that packaging? I love it. So I decided to buy this because I saw a couple of you comments saying that you wanted me to use it, and I hadn't actually really seen it. So I had a good look on Morphe's YouTube channel, and I saw Iluvsarahii, I think that's her name. I'm literally obsessed with her. But I saw she was like the face of this this collection, and I think it was out maybe last year, I think. I just didn't get around to buying it, and also I just felt like I had so many eyeshadow palettes, and I thought, do you know what, I'm just gonna try it and see what I think. But when I got it, honestly, I am so obsessed with the colour palette, and honestly it looks better in person, because when I actually opened it up I was gobsmacked at how nice these colours were, that you can't even see how bright they are on camera. But yeah, these tones in the summer is just so nice. So for my first transition colour, I'm going to use a Spectrum B07. This is tapered at the top, so it's great for your first transition colour because it really gets into the crease. Okay guys, so the first colour that we're going to go in with is the shade Sand Bar. So this is such a gorgeous mustard brown, and it's perfect for your crease colour, so it just creates a really nice contrast and just a little bit more definition. So I'm just going to pick up a very small amount to start off with, and what I tend to do is push the product into the back of my hand. So rather than tapping it off, what you can do is push it right into your brush, so when you're kind of blending you've still got product in there, but you're not getting it, it's not like falling down, but you don't have to keep on like dipping into your palette because you've got it kind of on the back of your hand, and just really work it in there. Okay, so I've zoomed you in. I know a lot of you want to see closer up when I do eye looks, so hopefully this is close enough. I feel like when it's like too close to my face it's just a bit weird. So I'm going to start to work that colour in the outer corner of my eye. So as you can see, because I've still got quite a lot in my brush, I can really push it in and wiggle it, because we want the kind of darkest point to be on the outer corner for this look. So you're not necessarily like blending straight away, we just basically want to get the colour on there. I just tap it up and down. Good thing about this colour is the more you build it up, the kind of darker it looks, and then when you blend it out it kind of goes lighter. I find that with these kind of mustard tones, when you blend them out it almost looks like you're using two different shades. So once you're happy with the intensity, so obviously don't worry too much if it looks really harsh, because again, just wiping off any excess on my hand, and then just slowly start to work that into the crease. And then once you haven't really got much left on your brush, you can then start to wiggle the brush in circular motions just around the edges of that eyeshadow, so you can then slowly start to diffuse them. And this look is going to be reasonably rounded. So I've spoke about this before in my tutorials. So when you want it rounded, you want to create kind of like a C shape. So just wiggling it back like that in a backwards C, like so. Then once you're happy with the intensity on the outer corner, you can then start to blend it into the mid part of the crease. So this time you just want to do back and forth motions and just tiny little circular motions when you get to the middle. So kind of really pushes it on there, and then back and forth when you want to kind of move it across. So I do want to blend out the edges a little bit more, so I'm going to go in with the shade Rooftop View. So it looks super light on camera. I'm not sure how it will come up when I edit this, but it is a very light sandy brown. So I mean it might be quite light for some people, so you can skip this step if you want. I just want something kind of running around the edges of that sandy bar shade, and I'm using that on a Spectrum B11 brush now. So this is a smaller blending brush, just to make my blending a little bit more precise. Using a smaller brush, you've just got a bit more control, because if I was to continue using the B07, it would have kind of brought it out too far. So once you've kind of got a good base there, so you can see that's really diffused out the edges. Just so it I always like eyeshadow to kind of blend into nothing. I like something like a shade to help it blend into my skin tone. So if you are darker than me, if you've got darker skin, you could probably just get away with going in with that first colour. If you are deep skin toned, you could literally just go in with Shady Spot, which is this shade here. You could probably start with that colour and you'd be good to go. We're going to prime the lid with the P. Louise base in Rumour 3, and I'm not cutting my crease with this. I'm literally just creating a nice blank canvas for the lid colour, but this does give the illusion of a larger crease, because also you're kind of cleaning up where the brown dropped down onto your lid. This is a great trick if you aren't very confident with cut creases, but you literally just use a flat smudger brush like this. If you can see, it's not as kind of flat as like your regular concealer brush, so you get more of a diffused edge that way. So as you can see, it still gives a nice contrast against the light. It still gives a nice contrast against the lid and the brown colour. And then once you haven't got too much left on your brush, you can use it over the edges to diffuse that brown. On top of that base, I'm going to use this colour, which is Champagne on Ice, and I'm going to use that on the same flat brush. And I'm going to press that on top, and this colour is so pretty. And because you've got that base underneath, it just really helps make it pop. And then just lightly buff it over that edge as well. And to blend the two together, you just want to go in with a tiny detail brush and a mixture of those two shades from before, and just lightly blend it over the edge so there's no harsh line. Also, I loved how I Love Sari, I need to find out her name, but she had like an aqua on the inner corner as well. So we're basically recreating the whole look. So I'm going to mix the shade Island Hop. I think she used Island Hop with a mixture of Coastline Cruise. Shades are so pigmented, you hardly need anything. So now that the inner corner is done, I'm going to go ahead and apply some liquid liner to prep for my lashes. Then the lashes that I'm using is by Lily Lashes in the shade, sorry, I'm so hungry. This is in the style Milan, and I literally just look down into my mirror and place the outer corner on first, and then I just grab my tweezers and just tuck in the very inner corner. So for the under eye, I'm firstly going to go in with the shade Hidden Cove. So I'm going to use a MAC 212 brush to really press this into my lash line. And I'm going to kind of blend that out with the shade Infinity Pool. So I have prepped my lower lash line with the same P. Louise base as before. And you just want to kind of work that into the lower lash line. But don't worry if it's not too neat. You just kind of want to get the colour on there first of all. But because I've got that P. Louise base underneath there, it's going to really help grab the eyeshadow, so it's kind of, so you get maximum payoff. The Spectrum A22 brush, so you just want to use anything that is reasonably small and dense, so you're not like blending it out fully, you're just kind of buffing this colour underneath that first shade to get a nice gradient effect and just to soften the edge. So I just done one final blend with the shade Snorkel Sesh, and I just buffed that on the very edges of those two darker colours just to create a nice gradient. And then I just popped some mascara on my lower lash line and I popped some lip liner on because that's boring. So for lipstick today, or liquid lip, this is something very exciting. I am using the Jaclyn Hill liquid lipstick. And this is in the shade Absolutely, not that you can see that. I'm just going to do a very light layer of that shade. Then I also got the shade Empowered. So that shade was Absolutely, which I think is a little bit too peachy on its own, so I want it to be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to mix it in with, the shade Empowered, which I think is the second nude from her collection. I'm just going to use a tiny bit of gloss on the centre of the lip. I don't want it to be completely glossy, but this is Fenty Beauty Sweet Mouth. This is one of their gloss bombs. So I'm just going to pop it on the very centre. Okay guys, so that is the finished look. I really hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and please subscribe if you are new here and leave a comment down below letting me know what you thought and also letting me know what you want to see next and if you want me to do more looks with the Sweet Oasis palette. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and you'll see me in my next one. Bye!